All right, we should be live and having a good time here. Just making a couple quick announcements while I finish getting these last couple things set up. But I wanted to get live as close as I can. Oh, and look at that! StreamCord is alive and well already. Boom, firing off. That's what I want to see. Okay, let me just get my tools open and then we'll fire the game up. All goes well. It should be a pretty good stream. Okay. Getting this open. Things are going almost too smooth so far. Things always love to break for me though, so there's still time for them to get a little bit borked, as it were. Okay, desktop audio, mic audio. Stream is definitely live and titled correctly. Oop, 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 Moth! There you are. I gotta remember where my chat was there for a second. Moth, how you doing? We're just getting the last few couple things set up here. I'm literally just about to launch the game. You're good. You were right in there. I'm so proud of StreamCord. It went off right off the bat. I was about beat me to making a Discord announcement. I usually have to be the one to type it in, but it like immediately went off today. We'll see if that's new for it. Anyway, you're doing good. It's wonderful to hear that you're doing good. I'm still in like the remembering where everything was mode. So, bear with me here for a moment. Okay. Do da da ba da da. We're going right for the bot fight. Good way to start. Boost is kicking in like it's supposed to be on my computer. Let's see if the game capture is gonna play nice. And if Dark Souls is launching. So I apologize if things are a little bit laggy. They usually are when I first launch a game. Oh, is my aspect ratio right? Okay. Gotta fix this real quick. And then come back over to here. And then I have a controller. I think it started up like it was supposed to. Loaded up gamepad. Okay. Let's see who wins this little fight here. And let me know if sound's good, if my volume's good, if game volume is good. Congrats there, Nightbot, for winning the duel. So far, so good. How is my thing? It looks like stream avatars might be a little bit stuttery. I've done a lot of optimization lately, so I'm hoping everything is going good. We are doing a fresh start, by the way. Just quick heads up to everyone. That's a little loud on my end. There goes my tinnitus. Always at the best opportune time. Okay. Enter name. Got it. DAF4ID. Gonna keep it simple. Keep it simple. We're just getting back into the start of things here. 2 boring flavors of bread to pick from. What class do I want to go as? Say, Moth, you're here right and early. Excuse me. Oh, just a quick heads up. We won't be doing the ad run thing I mentioned experimenting with today. Mostly because it wasn't what I was hoping it was. Looking into it. Last minute, I was experimenting around a little bit more with it, and I don't know if I'm going to get the bang for my buck, so I want to look into it a little bit more. So I decided not to do that tonight. It's kind of random, so there will be pre-roll ads, basically what that means. In the meantime, you're here. Any requests? Anything that you really want to see with my character build this time around? I know you're a little bit of an expert on Dark Souls yourself, so... Ah, boo, Nightbot. Oh, that was for a good chunk, too. Expert is a stretch. You don't necessarily have... I would consider you an expert. You've watched quite a bit of it. At least you've seen a fair bit. If I say sorcerer build versus faith build, you probably know what I'm talking about. So I'd give you the credit. Credit where credit's due. Anyway, I'm always tempted to go Pyromancer, but they kind of suck until you get to the Black Marsh. Well, they do really good, and then they do really bad, and it's a bit of a grind for me. Others would probably disagree. I just find that mid-zone kind of draining. Strength, but I could do strength build for big bonks. Like just go like big ol' hammer. I have not done that build in a while. That could be fun though. I'm fine for big bonks build. Big bonks light armor, big bonks heavy armor. Big bonks two-handed, big bonks one-handed. So I'm kind of imagining by big bonks you mean, you know, two-handing, big old warhammer type stuff. I can be convinced to let go of my shield niche. Oh yeah, that's the strength build with the bandit. Gotta go with the old witch ring. Yeah. We're gonna go for the Chaos Witch Covenant. Always light armor, big bunk weapon. You can get behind that. I don't want to go with. We go for the standard burly build there. A little bit. I kind of want to go with like more like that large, like Thorish figure here. But I kind of want to go more big bonk build. Go for a nice larger build. Softer faces of a noble. Eyes doing something funny. Anyway. You get back onto playing Dark Souls with Pokemon Scarlet has you in a chokehold. That's fair. I think we're gonna go with the Dragon Scholar's face this time. And then we're just gonna go, not Dragon Scholar face with. I don't know. I'm just gonna go Commoner with Ponytail. Keep it simple, because we can just get a dark purple right here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time customizing a character on here, because let's be real, this is Dark Souls. I'm going to look like beef jerky for most of it. Ooh, and do I spot a birdie sneaking in here? Stream avatars may give you away. If you have. Hi, there's a birdie. You just got here, had an ad. Yeah, so that's the thing, right? I was just telling Moth about this not too long ago. I was going to start, because basically Twitch lets you choose between what are called pre-roll ads, which is what you just had, which is when you first join the channel, you get ads, or I can choose to run ads during my stream, and for every X amount of time I run ads, it disables pre-roll ads for X amount of time, or Y amount of time, I should say. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. And it used to be, I thought, that for about 3 minutes of ads, you could get about 2 hours of no pre-roll. And so my theory, what I was going to do, which is what I had mentioned in my my little post earlier today, was I was going to start doing that so there wouldn't be pre-roll ads. I would basically do a 3-minute ad break. However, when I was playing around with the settings, according to the ad settings, I think they've changed it, because it was telling me in order to avoid having pre-rolls, except for the first like 5 minutes of a stream where it would be unavoidable. In order to avoid having those pre-roll ads, I would have to run an ad every 30 minutes. And it stopped letting me increase the amount that I could basically pocket away for ad breaks. And it's like, I don't want to run a break every 30 minutes just to avoid pre-roll ads. So I need to fidget around with the settings to figure out about it. Because ideally I would like to basically choose, hey, we're going to take a break at this time and not worry about pre-roll ads. Especially because, like, I think it was reading on Twitch, it was like 3 minutes of ads is like $1 per viewer worth of ad revenue, which I absolutely don't believe, but it's what they said, and I'm like, that would not be a bad way to make sure I'm actually getting something for ad revenue. Because I hate ads, but if they're going to be there, I don't know. But anyway, it's all, I got to look into more of the logistics of it, because I don't want to double dip there. Yeah, it seems like obscenely high amount. But we'll see. I'll play around with their settings, see what they say, and we'll experiment around with it a little bit. Anyway. It's one of those things where, like... I'm going to create my character now, by the way. But it's one of those things where, like... I'll create my character after I say this, because there's going to be a cutscene I don't want to talk during. If I could just say, hey, your pennies here are not worth me having ads, because I can turn ads off. I can choose not to have ads. And if I were to say, hey, your pennies here aren't worth having ads, that was what I would do. But while Twitch allows you to turn ads off, it's not the loss of pennies of revenue that gets you. It means that I'm less likely for them to recommend me in any kind of algorithms. They're not going to push my channel as much. I'm not going to get that little bit of extra oomph and engagement because they favor channels that run ads to their standards. So I got to kind of leave them on just because I need that engagement as much as I don't care about the revenue because it's not significant. And I hate ads. I hate ads. But I don't know. I'm trying to figure things out. There's going to be experimentation for a little bit. We'll figure it out one thing at a time. Then joining a stream for the first time and instantly getting hit like 10 ads, but like sometimes it's necessity. I hate pre-roll ads. And that's why it's like if I could do an ad break every 2 hours and avoid pre-rolls, yeah, that's what I'd like to do. And that's what I thought I could do, but apparently not. So we'll see. I'll play around with it. I'm going to accept. We're going to have a little bit of a cutscene, which I'm going to try to shut my mouth for. But I'm happy to see both you and Moth here, actually, because I've been talking to both of you. Thank you both for joining me already. Once an hour doesn't seem excessive. I slightly disagree on once an hour seeming excessive. If I was watching a YouTube video and I had a minute, 15-second, whatever ad break every 30 minutes, I would consider it a good time. Because most of the time, I think YouTube is much more ads than that. But live streams are different. And while like I consider an hour-long YouTube video long. Like that's a long YouTube video. An hour-long stream is a short stream. And I think that's the difference. At least how it feels to me, at least. Anyway, I'm gonna start this and shut my mouth for the cutscene, but we can continue this conversation after. With Commoner the purple ponytail boy.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire. And with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And of me, so easily forgotten.
I might have broken it. Playing around with settings. I'm sorry.
With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Mighty bolts flew apart their stone spears. The witches breathed great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus, the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers, and not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side.
Okay, I apologize for the audio crackling. If it's continuing in the game, which I've had happen with Elden Ring, I think is when it was doing it last time, I'll continue to fidget around. It might have just hopefully been the cutscenes. Um, it's something to do with basically audio refresh rate, to my understanding.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, I see. This seems to have corrected
The
itself.
dark sign brands the undead.
This is what it should have sounded like.
And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
So basically, this is what it should sound like. So it sounds like we should be in the clear. The cutscene at the beginning is different for Dark Souls Remastered, and that's kind of where you'd hear it. Make a long story short, is what happens. It's not a speaker quality issue. It's a audio. I'm gonna use the phrase audio refresher. That might be the wrong term. And the best way I can explain this, and I might be mis-explaining this. I know how to fix it. I know how to play around with it. I don't always necessarily know what these things mean. Not the kind of music editing that I'm used to. But basically, the refresh rate is kind of like the FPS, and when it's trying to send it to the stream at a certain rate, and it's being received at a different rate, it kind of creates this little staticky popping sound. And for some reason, Dark Souls games for me love to have this mishmash during the cutscene, and Elden Ring it even continues into the actual game. And every time, I swear I try to fix it, and then it doesn't stay fixed. And so I never quite remember what I did to fix it. I just know that the issue is with the audio refresh rate. But it looks like we're good in the normal game itself, so I shouldn't have to worry about it for now. Yeah, I don't seem to be lagging or anything like that. It seems to be going smooth on my end. Let me know if it's not on the stream's end, but on my end it seems to be going smooth. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, if you need a recap of the opening cutscene because the sound bothered you, gladly. It's one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite games. Everything from the lore to the play style. I just love me Dark Souls, so more than happy to talk about it. Anyway, I still got my moth and birdie here. My moth. I don't like using the word "my" in that. It feels oddly possessive. You are my friends, but blah. I have a lot. In most contexts, I'm referring to people. I have my kids or my wife, and also I use "my" in that context. Sometimes I use it on not them, and it just doesn't feel right in my mouth. Anyway, let's just say Moth and Birdie are still here. So I know Moth. Moth knows a fair bit about Dark Souls. I can't remember if Birdie knows a bit about Dark Souls. Sorry to hear you're having post-surgery pains. It's the surgery I know about, right? You haven't had any other surgeries on me that I don't. You do you. Take care of yourself. Get an ice pack, get whatever you need. I'll still be here. As some of you may remember, I tried to do a relaunch on this not too long ago. Dark Souls, when I first started streaming, when I was going to be starting streaming in November before that whole mess happened. Which, if you two, I think both of you are aware. Um, but yeah, when I started streaming back in November, I started streaming and I was really excited, and then I got RSV, COVID. I had an endoscopy, then RSV, then COVID, and then it was like food poisoning. It was like 3 things, just boom, 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 right all in a row, and I was sick for like the past month. Okay, Birdie's back. Welcome back, Birdie. So, yeah, I knew that. Thought it would. Being clicky controller. Don't like what you're doing. Oh, she didn't answer. Do I do shenanigans? Do I do shenanigans? Do I feel like doing shenanigans? I don't think I feel like shenanigans. I don't feel like shenanigans, yeah. This is gonna be a shenanigan-ness. Oh, right, it was coming. Okay. We can close that door and piss off. I mean, today's 4 weeks. It's really been 4 weeks. Wow. I lost track of time there. Why do I have a little... I don't recognize that. Is that what I should do that? Which is ringing me. Let's just speak with. Anyway. Yeah, how are you healing up on it? I know I've thought about you quite a little bit. I know the... Yeah, I know they can be rough. Healing is going okay. I've got the scar elbows first. Sutures and oh yeah, that's always a pain. Sutures are crazy to me. Like, you just take a second to think about the fact that, like, we literally sew people back together. That's a thing. It's just like a me thing. How are you not? Oh yeah, so I have a crap thing. I should probably get my proper weapon for this. Anyway, I'm trying to read a message. I want. Where's the item? There it is. I'm trying to read a message while I fight something that's sitting. There we go. Anyway. I mean, theoretically, they should dissolve completely. I know that even from my limited knowledge. Ooh, excuse me. But, I don't know if we've had this discussion. I have actually never had stitches. I should have had stitches at one point, which is where I got this. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe. Kinda. Is that mark on my hand? Birdie might know, but I've probably talked about it on stream before. But yeah, I should have had stitches for that. But I did this back when I lived in Utah. I did an obstacle course run. It was a 10K obstacle course called the Dirty Dash. And I know I look exactly like the spitting image of someone to do a 10K marathon obstacle course. I'm not. I still looked in proportionately the way I did. I walked the whole thing. But it was fun. It was like an obstacle course, you know, with little climbing over things and everything. I had a good time. I would definitely do it again. but my shoes didn't fit. And this was during a stage of my life where I thought going barefoot was a personality trait, and I would go barefoot everywhere I could. So I'm like, ah, screw it. Who cares if it's off-road through gravel and other crap? I'll just go barefoot for the 10 kilometers. Which is, my mind can't do mile math right now, just however many miles that is. And I did. I did the entire thing barefoot with almost no issues. Got over the obstacles, did everything. And my feet were fine, because the thing is, and we used to joke about this in high school, is that I'm somewhere between a Tolkien dwarf and a Tolkien hobbit, is what we would always joke about. And, like, I had no problem going that long barefoot off-roading. I was fine. It was a vibe. And then right at the very end, because if you notice, the scar's on my hand. Right at the very end, like, on the last obstacle where I could see the finish line, I tripped and biffed it. And cut my hand open on a rock in a mud pit, because they had like these pits of mud you had to climb through. And I cut my hand open, and I looked at it, I'm like, ow, that hurts. And then I could just see, and trigger warning here, injury, there was enough blood that I could see the bone. And 2, there was enough blood that it was physically washing away the mud from my hand. I had enough of a blood flow that it was pushing away the mud and stuff that was caking my hand from the fall. And then in that way that my father, I love my dad, and no harm came of this. My dad did that old-fashioned, I don't want to have to go to the hospital, so let's just do water cleaning. My dad was a paramedic, so he vaguely knew what he was doing, but it was very much one of those, like, here, I'm just going to clean this up with water and a first aid kit, and we're going to see how it sits to avoid having to take you to the hospital because they're expensive. And I actually don't judge him for this, but I got a good old, it's like Y-shaped scar right there. Because I probably should have gotten stitches, and it doesn't affect my finger in any way. It wasn't the worst call to have made. Not the best call to have made, definitely. But, yeah, I think we went and got food, something like that after, instead of getting it taken care of. Which, I then had to, like, bandage my hand up and everything in for, like, a week. But the thing was, is I came back from this, and it was, like, right before marching band had really begun its season. And so I had an injury on my hand, and it's my right hand, and I played marching euphonium. So this is how I played my instrument. And I couldn't play the first key on my 3-valve instrument, which, if you know anything about marching euphonium, means I couldn't play like half of my notes. And so marching band's coming up, I can't play half of my notes, and to top it all off, I talked about how easy it was for me to do this walk barefoot. Well, it turns out actions have consequences, and my feet were absolutely covered in blisters. From my young, stubborn teenage idiocracy. So I couldn't march for like probably about a week. Oh, I forgot about that. So needless to say, I turned out fine from the whole experience, but my band teacher was very, very unhappy with me.
Oh, you. You'll know, thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, will you? Regrettably, I have failed in my mission. But perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know, and I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this.
The Estus flask.
An Estus flask, an undead favorite. Oh, and this. Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you. Now I would, and
Make sure you didn't have anything else to say. Hello, Gray. Yeah, we are going for a strengthy build. We're going for the bonk build. We're gonna go for biggest bonks. I was just sharing the story of when I did the Dirty Dash, walked 10 kilometers barefoot, and then tripped and cut my hand open. You probably remember me showing up to school after that injury. Just sharing story time there. Also, I'm absolutely sorry. I didn't mean to take away from anything that you were saying there, Birdie. That was me attempting to be empathetic in Infodump in a neurodivergent way of, hey, we're talking about something that Birdie had going on, so I'm gonna go on my tangent that's somewhat related, I guess. It wasn't, not trying to take away from anything. Just wanted to say that. That is how I converse. It was me attempting to empathize, and so you cut open your hand. Thanks, Gray. Yeah, the thing is, I don't know. So I've heard that this is like a neurodivergent versus neurotypical thing, but I don't necessarily know how true that is. Gray is not. That would be Wii-Fei that you're thinking of. But Gray also went to the high schools with me. But yeah, no. I was reading this thing, and I know some people, it's apparently more common for neurodivergent people to do this thing where it's like, hey, this thing happened to me, here's a story, and a neurodivergent person is going to respond with a similar story, a like story, and it's a form of empathizing and communication. Yeah, see, moth statistic, I'm schizophrenic, we neurodivergent here, I don't know what neurotypicals do. But I think we do a little dance here. Ooh, yeah. Anyway. But the thing is to neurotypicals that can come across as spotlight stealing. So it's one of those things where it's a neurodivergent person is going to view it as, I'm empathizing with you. Here's me sharing a psych story to say that I kind of understand. I want to let you know how I understand. So you know where I'm coming from and we can have mutual information. But some neurotypicals tend to view that in more of a, you're trying to one-up me, you're trying to spotlight steal. And I don't necessarily, in my opinion, it's less a neurotypical and neurodivergent thing as much as it is a self-centered thing. Someone who is self-centered and wants to spotlight themselves is going to take offense to it. And that is less common in a neurodivergent person because neurodivergent people tend to have greater empathy. That's how I view it. So I guess it would be a neurodivergent thing still, but yeah. Don't understand the thing that someone is trying to steal the spotlight, yeah. BF, boyfriend, otherwise known as Nebamin. Bam. Hello. Woohoo! Look at that axe damage. Boy, oh boy, where have you been all my life? I rolled the wrong way. It has been a hot moment, y'all. Let's pop an Estus so we don't just get ourselves immediately. Nope, nope, nope. Big bonk. Yeah, this is the big bonk one. Well, if I was going for biggest bonks, I really should have gone for the attempting death by a million paper cuts on this guy. Oh. Look at them butt. the sub! Thank you for the sub, Gray. It is most greatly appreciated. And one day I'll hopefully return the favor. Should I just like go for the I'm just gonna go for the kill. Yeah, he's a thick boy. Dark Souls lacks some thick with 2 C's. How does physics? But Tiny Tail doesn't do much to help with the balance. Absolutely not. Hype! Hey, thanks for the hype. I've done this game enough. The Abyssal Demon, I don't know, that sounds way too arrogant. I don't find this to be the most challenging fight in the game. There's definitely bosses that I struggle with, but he's got a very stable swing pattern. He's very dodgeable. He's got really good telegraphing, which is to be expected. He's a tutorial boss. He's an absolute beast of a tutorial boss for people who aren't used to Dark Souls games. There's a reason why the entire "Hello, welcome to Dark Souls, I'll be your tutorial" meme is a thing. And also the fact that they have you run into him before you have your weapon or anything, just to, like, really cement the fun times there. Yeah, that's all a thing. But no, he's a solid boss. He's one of these. I hold the ever unpopular opinion in Dark Souls that Dark Souls 1. I'm gonna share this right off the bat because I've said it a million times before. I love Dark Souls 1. I absolutely love Dark Souls 1 to bits. Dark Souls 1 is not always difficult because of good game design. It is definitely probably one of the hardest of the Souls series, and that's not always because it's well built. And it was a rushed game, and there's a couple points where you can tell that it was maybe cut short, a little bit rushed. It doesn't have as much polish, I think, as some of the other Dark Souls games. And I say this all with love and endearment. I absolutely love this game to bits. It's one of my top 10 games ever made. Top 5 games ever made, probably.
In the ancient legends, it is stated
but yeah.
that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
Anyway, it's kind of an interesting thing. The Asylum Demon is an example of what I'm going to consider really well done game design aspect in Dark Souls. It shows people the core mechanics. It's not overbearing. It's difficult. It really is a difficult fight, but not if you know the mechanics and you know how the game fits. There are a lot of aspects in Dark Souls 1, and even in later Dark Souls games, that I feel I wouldn't necessarily change, and while they're core to the character of the game, and I would say that they are a core aspect of the game, they aren't necessarily good game design. And I'm going to give you one right now that's going to be really controversial. We're going to up this controversy to an 11, and probably only Gray will get this in terms of what I'm saying. Dark Souls does not point you in a direction. It gives you a world to explore with very little direction. And a lot of people put that in this hallmark of why they love the game. I love this aspect of Dark Souls 2. It isn't good game design, though. It is an absence of game design. There are some mechanics to point you in the right direction, NPCs you can talk to, that let you unearth and undig things, and it is intentional. But it's not what I would call good game design. And the reason why is with Dark Souls being such a challenging game, there's a lot of people who are first introduced to the game who will attempt to do an area that is way outside of their difficult wells, outside of the difficulty level, and they won't realize I should step back and come to this area later, because when you're dealing with someone who's new to the game, a difficulty, if they are able to handle a difficulty level of 3, that is their threshold. They got 3, they understand 3, that's where they are at. To someone who's at a 3, a 10 and a 100 are going to feel the same. Someone that's at difficulty level 10 and difficulty level 100 are going to feel the same. So they're not going to know the fact that they're throwing themselves over and over and over again at that level 100 difficulty challenge isn't going to help them, when maybe that there is a 10 that might be more achievable for them, or even like a 5 or a 3 that they could be going to. And I love that it lets you challenge the 100, but the game in no way acknowledges that that's what you're doing, which some people love. I love Dark Souls games. I wouldn't necessarily change that, but it's one of those things where, I mean, this is a game that is difficult, but not always because of good game design. That is not an element of good game design. Good game design guides a player and tells them exactly where they need to be at the level that they are, while still allowing them to explore freely. This is a game that I love dearly, and again, when I say good, I'm talking about ideal. It's not meant to be a critique, it's not something I'm saying that they should change, but it is a point of good game design, and it's what I mean when I say that. I know people are going to disagree with me, and I feel like that's a very valid thing to disagree with, but yeah, that's just my personal feelings, my personal take on it. Again, I don't know if I would change it, but it's the difference between what is good game design and what isn't good game design but works for Dark Souls, and what gives it its flavor and character. Bad game design can be beneficial to a game in some ways.
Well, what do we have
Just look at
here?
Bethesda and bugs.
You must be a new arrival. Let me get, but there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are, actually, 2 bells of awakening. One's up above in the undead church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happens. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on, but I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land of the undead?
Yeah, and that's something, I think, I appreciate you saying that it is valid, and there's definitely a deeper discussion to be had there. But it's like one of those things too, like, I feel like it kind of borderlines as well on accessibility. Like, Dark Souls is a difficult game. If they released Dark Souls 4 tomorrow, and it had a difficulty slider, or an easy mode, for example, I know people would go ballistic. I don't think it would be a bad thing, though, personally, because it's accessibility. Giving people an easy mode, where everything's much more manageable so they can enjoy the game and explore it, is not a bad thing, especially when they still leave you the more difficult modes to play on that are untouched. Like if they came out with Dark Souls and it had an easy mode on it, I don't think that's inherently a bad thing, because again, it makes it more accessible to people who aren't going to be able to play that hard difficulty, not always because of lack of skill. Sometimes there is disability in the way of that. That's why we use the phrase accessibility. And I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's not, yeah, there's a lot of nuance to the competition. It's why I absolutely adore the new God of War Ragnarok, which I don't own. I don't even know if my gaming computer can handle that game, but I've definitely watched playthroughs of. The amount of accessibility features in that game, phenomenal. And sure, a lot of those might make the game easier. Putting on an easier difficulty setting would make the game easier and less of a challenge. Maybe you're there for the challenge. But giving people an option to enjoy something at the level that they can is not inherently a bad thing. And I'm not saying that formula would work for Dark Souls, but I'm saying that adding that formula into a game is, I view, a net positive. And again, Dark Souls, lack of navigability, lack of helping. It's something that you need hand holding, but the difficulty to figure out where things need to go is one example of making it non-accessible. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. I love this game to bits. Again, it's one of my top 5 games ever made, easily, maybe even my top 3. I don't know if I could get tighter than a top 3, because I wish watching games. But it's just one of those things where, like, I bring up, it's like, not all this difficulty is good game design, and people can get very opinionated on that.
Ah, your face. You're practically hollow. But who knows? Going hollow could solve quite a bit.
Anyway. My thing is, I always hear people say, like, it takes away the validity of the people who've beaten the game when it's hard. But it doesn't, because you still beat the game at a harder difficulty. Like, if you have games that have tiered difficulty, and it's like, oh yeah, I beat the game on Hellfire level 5 difficulty in this time, like, the achievement's still there. It just means that, you know, my kid, who's my 7-year-old, means that she can play the game just fine and enjoy it. You know, and get a joy out of it that I have. And that's just kind of where I view, I don't know. Not everything needs to be difficult. I'd say playing Dark Souls.
But well, there are a few ways to go about it. Collect it bit by bit from corpses. Or you can butter up a cleric and get yourself summoned. And the quickest way, although I never do it, is to kill a healthy undead and pillage its humanity. Coveting thy neighbor is only human, after all.
When I super into Dark Souls because it generally seem more difficult than I am when to deal with. Yeah, that's the thing. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, I want to be clear. I am not advocating to make Dark Souls easy. I like Dark Souls because it's a hard game. That is why I enjoy it. I like the challenge. I want to be challenged. I love overcoming it. But making it a challenging, adding an easy mode while leaving the challenging mode intact doesn't take away from the game. I don't know, my take is complicated, but the crux of it is this. There's no bad design, only bad vision, structure, and purpose. General practice exists for good reason, but the experience you're building is trying to be frustrating on purpose, then go against the grain. Art is complicated. That is a very valid point. And I guess when I say good game design, I don't know. Good and bad is subjective, and that's a very fair point. But yeah, I still stand by what I've said. It's, yeah. Yeah, it's a very valid take on it. I really can't add to it. I would absolutely agree. If you're trying to be frustrating on purpose, you're going to go against the grain. I would also say, in my opinion, that if you're trying to be frustrating, that's not necessarily a good game. But that's, again, my opinion. That's very much just an opinion thing. On a game industry with financially viable monetization, I think your point holds a lot of water. Thank you. My brain skipped over most of that because you mentioned money, and I don't do monies. I'm bad at monies. But... you know, I view accessibility as always a good thing. The more people that can access something, the more people that can enjoy something, it's always a net positive in my book. Yeah, no. I was gonna say art is complicated, yeah, and I think a great example too. And I'm gonna say maybe this might be a little bit more even further to nuance my point here with Dark Souls. I'm trying to remember where everything's stashed here, so I need a little bit of water while I do this. It'd be a fun game, but I can still enjoy it. You should try the beginner. I'll have to give it a look. I think here's a really good way that I'm going to explain it. sometimes Dark Souls, I guess what I should say is Dark Souls is intending to be difficult, is intending to be challenging. When I say good or bad game design, I guess what I'm referring to is I don't always feel that Dark Souls is challenging because of intended mechanics. Which is, I think, even a more nuanced point. When I say bad game design, it means I feel that there are certain parts of Dark Souls that maybe they were intended, but ultimately, regardless of whether or not they were intended, they made the game more challenging. Versus, and I'm going to compare this to a different game that I love absolutely dearly, that I would say, in my opinion, is 10 times more difficult than Dark Souls ever was. Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. Getting Over It is a game that is designed to be frustrating, and it is designed to be difficult, and it is designed to be challenging. But there is no point in that game where I feel that it is difficult unintentionally. It is, every part of that game feels like it is done with full intent. Out of all of these 3 Swings of the Force, I'm making this way more complicated than it really needs to be. Yeah. Yeah, that game, everything, every difficulty feels like it was intentionally designed to be there. The stuff that makes you screw up feels like it was intentionally designed to make you screw up. I think a lot of that has to do with scale. Bennett Foddy is a much smaller game. You're focusing down all of that intent on a much smaller target, and you have a lot less to deal with. Dark Souls is broad. You're going to have more hands in the cookie jar than you can control. Too many chefs in the kitchen in some ways. And you need to. You need to have to build games of this scale. That's just the nature of the beast. But it also means it's a valid critique. T-Fay raid with a party of 9. T-Fay. Why haven't you legally changed your name to Bruce yet? Oh, T-Fay, you never disappoint. You never disappoint with the raid message. Hey, can I get a I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna do this one myself. I absolutely always love a T-Fay raid. Oh, Moth beat me to it. Playing Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Oh, I want to play that game so bad. How are you doing, T-Fay? For all of those who don't know, T-Fay is a wonderful variety streamer. Absolutely adore her streams. They are 10 out of 10. I highly recommend enjoying them sometime. You good? That's awesome to hear. I owe a lot to T-Fay. T-Fay is like significantly part of the reason why I made affiliate. And while I'm doing all of this, we got a Dapper Deputy raid as well. Oh, how are you doing, Dapper? Dapper is another wonderful streamer. Yeah, more raiders. I have a feeling... were you guys playing together? I have a feeling you might have been playing together. He didn't know I was Bruce? Dapper didn't know I was Bruce? Judge him? I can't judge him. Have you seen his style? Iconic. Dapper is a fashion icon. I aspire to have that good of a look. Hey. That's the thing is, I'm going to be honest. I mean, right now I'm wearing a Fallout t-shirt and pajama pants because I am not looking classy. The pandemic did a number on me. But as someone who also regularly kind of goes for that steampunk vibe, dressing a little. If you don't mind me saying steampunk, maybe you hate that phrase. I'm a fan of it. That's the vibe I go for. I know it can be difficult to pull off some days, and I don't think I've ever seen you not rocking a good look, Dapper. Just always. If you aren't, I highly suggest any of the people that I have chilling out with me give both Dapper and T-Fay a follow. Did we ever get T-Fay a shout out? Or not T-Fay, a Dapper? We did get Dapper. 1 second. Okay, Dapper. We did get a shout out for Dapper. Awesome. Yeah, how are you guys? So I think T-Fay said you're doing good. How are you doing, Dapper? I don't think I judged you the way that T-Fay wanted me to. I think Tifa was hoping for a scathing commentary because she didn't know I was Bruce. Tired and hungry? Oh, I feel that. I'm not tired or hungry right now. I have a Diet Coke, and that somehow fills both of those needs for me. Probably not healthfully, but it does. But I've definitely been tired and hungry before, especially post-stream. Any post-stream snacks you got planning? Hey, I'm just gonna say this right now. If your mod's yelling at you to get food, that's a good mod. Your mod's absolutely taking care of you there. Maybe some cereal. That's a good call. I'm always a fan of a cereal snack. Any particular variety? Because I'm now invested, and I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I really like cereal. And Professor Red Wolf! He never eats? I would judge you, but I am unfortunately also guilty of this crime. You know, when I'm sitting there and it's like, 6, 7 p.m. and my wife gets home from work and she's like, why are you cranky? And then I'm like, oh, it's because I haven't eaten all day. I need to eat something. She's like, why didn't you eat all day? And it's like, I don't know, I forgot. And then she's like, you have a kid. And I'm like, well, yeah, I fed the kid. I made the kid lunch. I just forgot to eat myself. Because I'm an adult, and that's what I do. Ooh, Reese's Puff. That's a good cereal choice. I made a mistake last time of trying to, fight the skeletons away, and it took me forever to try to get back to the bonfire and actually wrest them away, so I'm going to do that right now. Because I don't feel like dealing with them. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, no laggy. Bad lag. Why we lag? Okay. Lag went away. This was a mistake. I should not have gone on this side. Oh no, you can sneak by this way. Oh, we're good. I'm struggling to walk right now. Can I rest at the bonfire? Nope. The friends came with. Read this stuff, beat him up. Absolutely. Oh no. Now I'm curious. Yeah, dairy milk? You got almond milk, rice milk? I mean, Reese's Puffs, in my opinion, probably gonna be best with the dairy milk. But as someone who, me and dairy don't get along, I very much understand an almond or a rice milk, and both could probably be fairly passable, to be honest. I will say, if you're lactose intolerant, which I've never been diagnosed lactose intolerant, but I definitely am. Great combination. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Rice milk. It's like horchata, the breakfast cereal. Just saying. It's like one of my go-tos. That or just eat cereal with normal milk and then regret it later. I think if anything, if you've watched my streams regularly, you know I'm not always the best at making good choices. You were raised on non-dairy milk? I wasn't. I was definitely raised on dairy milk when I was a kid. When I became an adult, though, and we were trying to figure out all of my health problems, we definitely did the whole bout of trying all of the various milks. And then I'm a big tea drinker. I love me a cup of tea. And just absolutely my Nana and Gran from Herefordshire, England. I definitely drink cream with my tea, but dairy cream absolutely does me in. So one of my go-tos there is actually a coconut milk cream, because I can usually get that at the store, or non-dairy creamers, the little Delight cups, if I can find them. Yeah. I don't know. I was raised with normal milk, but then kind of, as I got older, started going around with a lot of non-dairy. I'm just trying to take better care of myself.
What are you looking at? Don't try anything clever. You might regret it.
I'm not gonna kill you, dude. You can keep your humanity. Oh, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna do the bonfire. Get that all spicy. Anyway, How was Tiny Tina's? Have I still got either of you two lurking around still? Through my rambles. Grew up in a you must have a glass of milk with your meal household, and I've really never drank milk since. I have 2 kids who have. We have milk. We have dairy milk at home usually, like currently nowadays, because I have 2 kids. Milk, it's a great source of calcium for kids, and my kids are picky eaters, and they'll both drink milk. Especially like if I make it chocolate or strawberry milk, which is not healthy, and we don't do all the time, but we let them have our chocolate and strawberry milk. They're kids; they need to have treats from time to time. But like, I was never forced to drink milk. I won't force my kids to drink milk. Personally, like even beyond being lactose intolerant, milk tastes funny to me. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it's got an off taste. It tastes... And it could entirely be in my head. But when I'm drinking a liquid, I don't want my thought to be... Ow. Like, full respect to people who like milk. That's absolutely fine. But, like, when I drink milk, a picture of a cow pops into my head. And I don't know. I don't like the connection.
What? You want to hear more? Oh, that's all we need. Another inquisitive
Milk companies lied about how
soul.
milk is important
Well,
to you.
listen carefully then. One of
I've
the
had it.
bells up above in the undead you'll have to climb the within a
So-
time.
Blight. Sorry, I didn't mean to skip through his dialogue there. Blighttown's bad. That was that dialogue right there. It's challenging and difficult. On the milk is bad. I don't want to disagree with Moth because you are absolutely right. Dairy industry is a little bit overpushed. Especially, there's a reason why if you go to a fast food restaurant and they offer you bacon and cheese on everything, even if you like bacon, you're welcome to like bacon and cheese. The reason why that combination is so prominent is because there was an active effort to prop up and get those items marketed to help the agricultural industry. Like, the government makes so much, they pay to make so much cheese. And a lot of these things were done during the Great Depression, and we could get into a debate about whether or not they're valid. I don't want to get into the debate on my stream at the moment, because I have opinions on it. It's one of those things that, like, at the time might have been good, but I would probably say isn't as much now. Anyway, but milk is definitely pushed as it's less... The reason you see milk so prominently targeted towards kids is less milk is healthy and more the dairy industry needs the money and wants the money. Need debatable, want definitely. So yeah, it's definitely a marketing thing, but milk isn't inherently unhealthy for kids. It is a good source of calcium. It is a good source of vitamins. And if your kids will drink it, great. But you can also get those same nutritional things from a lot of milk substitutes, like almond milk, etc. So, like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, milk's great. Your kids aren't going to die if they don't drink milk. But if they do drink milk, let them drink milk, because it's nutrients and calories are more important than anything in your kid. Like, if you ask a good doctor...
Bloody hell, what is it?
Like, you've asked many questions. Okay, he's done with his dialogue. Took me forever there because I got rambly. If you ask a good doctor, or what I would consider a good doctor, is my kid eating right? The good doctor is probably going to say more, is your kid eating? Your kid doesn't want to eat much, but they'll eat junk food every once in a while, and you can get them to eat junk food, and they can be of a healthy... Like, be healthy relatively, like they're not having any allergies, they're not having any problems that would be specifically caused by dieting. Food is better than nothing. Like, getting your kids to eat is important. Full stop, more than anything else, is getting your kids to eat when they're hungry and making sure that they have food and trying to make sure that food is varied and try to best give them their nutritional needs. There are times when a kid is probably going to be eating too much junk food, too much unhealthy food, and there can be problems and complications that come from that. And a good doctor is going to be able to tell you the difference between, hey, your kid needs to eat less junk food because it's bad for them, And hey, your kid's at least eating something. Yeah, sure, let them eat their Dino Nuggies all day long. Generally speaking, getting your kid to eat's always going to be a net positive. And parents, I think, worry about too much about what their kid is eating and whether or not is your kid eating. Are they getting enough calories? Obviously, you want them to get their vitamins and their nutrients. Those are important things for development. But whether they get those nutrients from Flintstone gummies and Dino Nuggets or a well varied fruit salad with fresh grilled chicken, ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, is what is your kid gonna eat? Oh, that's a choice. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm sure Moth has opinions. I would say it's an odd show. I want to talk to this guy real quick.
Hello there. I believe we are not. I am Petrus of Thurland. If not,
I hate this guy. I'm not gonna listen to this. I'm gonna assume if you've watched my streams, I played Dark Souls a millions of times. Until someone tells me, "Hey, I really want to watch the dialogue," I'm gonna kind of skip through it just to kind of keep the ball moving. I'll slow down at important parts and stuff like that. Most of this dialogue is just me exhausting everything, just to make sure I'm hitting certain checkpoints and thresholds. Alcohol. I love you, kid. I almost shield smacked the guy. That I am going to almost shield smacked him again. That is how bad your doctor was. Were you like, this is not redeemable? But at least tell me you were legally at the drinking age. Oh gosh. Oh. Okay. Okay, at least that. Therapists. Hey, look, I think most of these people who are actively chatting. I got a few lurkers here. Hello, lurkers. I love all of you. I think I scared away T-Fay and Dapper. I love both of them. Here's another plug for them. You should go sub to them. They're absolutely great. Or follow them if you can't sub. Whatever. They're great. I highly recommend their streams. Here's the thing. That's a hell of a reference, and we're gonna loop back around to that one, Birdie. Freaking okay. Lucifer's one of my guilty pleasure shows recently. I binged the whole thing. So we're gonna loop back. We're gonna talk about Lucifer here. The thing is, in my opinion, and there's lots of different thoughts on therapy and lots of different thoughts on schools and how things should be. A therapist should be more than willing to connect with you. They need to be able to acknowledge you. They need to be able to share interests and have conversation. And those conversations can be friendly. But ultimately, for both of your sake, you should always maintain a strict structure of patient and therapist. If at any point your therapist starts to feel like a good friend, and I mean like they are like a friend, like you would go to the bar with them, friend, you need to make sure you have really strong boundaries, if not just considering to get a new therapist. I have had people who have gone through therapy. I know people who've gone through therapy, gotten to a really good place to where they were much more in a position. Because I'm going to be honest here, in my opinion, therapy is never something that really ends. Every person in the world can benefit from some therapy. The thing is the therapist, they became friends with their therapist after their therapy with that therapist was done. And they had really good friendships because of the experience of being a therapy and a patient. But in every one of those instances where it worked well and people weren't hurt, and like gravely hurt in a lot of situations, it was post them having a therapist-patient relationship. And oftentimes they would still have therapy, maybe just with a different therapist that was a little bit more day-to-day. But you can't be friends with your therapist. because it takes away the ability for the therapist to make those harder decisions that they're going to need to, and neither one of you are going to get what you need out of it. Oh, the HIPAA. Oh, in the name of HIPAA. Oh, that's bad. That's so bad. This therapist just keeps getting worse. Oh, I think you've trumped any bad doctor's experience that I have there. Oh, and that's saying something. I've had some experiences. Oh, that's so bad. I don't even know how to unpack all of it. I don't think the stream is the place to unpack all of that. Ah, that's so bad. I'm usually not the kind of person to say that people need to get reported,
Hello
but it
there.
might be good to get her
But I also
reported.
want
That
here,
you really
no?
shouldn't have. She's gonna get someone hurt. She's gonna get herself hurt.
Oh, I have to. So what if would that?
Oh,
Very well.
I'll join the Covenant of White for now. Am I in it? I don't think I'm in a Covenant. Yeah, that's so bad. Anyway.
What is it? Speak.
What Covenant am I in? I don't think I'm in a Covenant. Yeah, okay. I will join this then. No, I hit the jump button. Anyway. Speaking of bad therapists,
Very well.
let's talk about Lucifer here for a second and completely 360 things. Because I actually really love Lucifer as a show. He is absolutely not a good therapist in
Now
that show.
let me share my miracles.
She's definitely a good friend.
Only their ultimate.
I would even say that she is an example of what I like to call a mom friend or a therapist friend, where she helps people unpack things. Oh, okay,
again,
absolutely no spoilers.
The effectiveness of
Good
the
call out
teachings
there.
depends upon your faith.
Yeah, she's just you know that from like the first part of the show. She's not set up to be a good therapist. She does grow. A lot of the characters do grow in that show, but yeah, she's not. The show is not. Don't watch that show for a good depiction of therapists. It's a good show though, and it's not a horrid depiction of therapists. It's just not the kind of dichotomy you should be striving to have. It was great and made me somewhat hard to leave, but the alcohol was the last straw. Absolutely. And that can be the hard thing too, is like you get a therapist that's like, or a doctor who's like 90% good, even, and I'm not going to say that the therapist is not sound like she was 90% good, but there's been times where it's like you have like these things that make a really great situation, but it only takes one or two massive red flags, like the alcohol thing, before you're done for. What episode are you on? If I can specifically talk about it, because I would like to, but I don't want to. I really don't want to spoil anything. I just want to know like what point you are in her arc, because her arc. Yeah, a therapist shouldn't be giving you alcohol. Like therapists, I think if harm reduction in therapists is a great thing. Harm reduction is not actively giving your patient alcohol. You're like on season 5, so you're fairly close to done. So yeah, then you're well past the point. For those of you who don't know, in the beginning of that show, and I got to think of a way to word this in a family-friendly way. The way that like Lucifer sets up therapy is very much her being like, "Hi, I am attracted to you because you know you're Lucifer and your temptation. So let's exchange intimacy for therapy sessions," which is absolutely like on a scale of 1 to 10 on how bad of a thing that is in therapy, that is like 100. But the show addresses it fairly quickly in terms of storyline, and you're definitely past that point. But she's a really good friend. but this is exactly the situation. Without any spoilers, it is exactly the situation where she is a friend, which it prevents her from being a good therapist. And that's like a spoiler-free rendition of it. Great friend, gives some really good advice, and I feel like the show does genuinely talk about and approach some things that are actually really good examples of therapy, but the relationship is not a good relationship between a patient and a therapist. But it definitely works for the show. She's definitely a really good friend, and yeah. We're gonna keep the chat spoiler free. It's one of those shows where, like, hey, we're just talking about this right now. I love me to bits. Anything that has to do with, I'm going to use the phrase, Christian mythology or Abrahamic religion mythology. And this is not me saying it's a mythology because it's fake. I'm not starting that debate here on my stream. But you need to understand, from a historical and academic perspective, any belief system being described, it is that mythos, it is the mythology of that religion and belief system. Calling something a myth does not mean you are inherently calling it fake, you are just calling it what it is. The Greeks very much believed their gods were real. So that was their mythology, their mythos. It's just a way to say their divine belief system. And to be very inclusive about it. Because, like, if we're talking Christian mythology, yeah, Judeo-Christian mythology is, yeah. Because, like, the thing is, like, the amount of, like, overlap, like, there are subsects that, like even just with something as simple, like, we're gonna talk about this right now, as, like, the creation myth, where you have, this is a random fact. Ooh, jump B. 1 second, I gotta remember how to jump. Okay, it is. That was dangerous. Some Greeks still believe their gods are real. Hellenism, while small, is still around in remote portions of Greece. There's also like Neo-Hellenism, which isn't necessarily confined to Greece. I know I have a couple friends that are Hellenistic pagans, who have Greek ancestry and some that don't. I don't believe it's closed practice. If it is, and I started a big controversy there, I just have friends who are not Greek that do practice Hellenistic paganism. So it's a thing. But what was I gonna say? Like that's just like a great example of this. If you ask most Christians that I've met, the creation myth, it's God created Adam, and then and then created Eve from the rib of Adam, like that whole thing. If you went to Sunday school, you've probably heard about it. There's an entire thing, and I've heard it's a little bit more prominent in Judaism. I do not know if that is true. And I would absolutely, I'm not going to say whether it's true or not. You would have to speak to someone who is Jewish. I'm not. And I'm not going to speak for that part. But as someone who's raised Christian, I know that there are some Christian sects that do believe this still. Is that in some versions of the story, Eve is actually the second wife. And the first wife is named Lilith. And Lilith and Adam are, in that mythology, often created at the same time. And then Lilith basically is too free-spirited and too independent, and is cast away for not subjecting herself under Adam, and becomes the mother of all demons. And there is, like, I absolutely am fascinated with the stories around Lilith. She is such a cool character from a mythological standpoint. But in some Christian theologies, she's real, and in some Christian theologies, she isn't mentioned at all. And that's like why you have to say Christian mythology, because it is a broad spectrum thing that all shares a common origin, but the beliefs vary. Just like in some Greek city-states back in the day, they would believe that Hades and Zeus were one and the same, and others that they were two distinct persons, and others Dionysus was part of the underworld, and others Dionysus was not part of the underworld. And that's the thing about it. That's why mythology is the correct term. This is just fun. Yeah. Again, it's less common. I could get. Oh, this is gonna get into some of those. And that's why I think I mentioned. I've heard that it's taught a little bit more commonly. I don't heard it's taught. It's not a common belief in Christianity, at least not in the Christian religions that I am familiar with. And I know that there was definitely some active purely from history. As someone, I am a history major, and I've studied classics a little bit. I was originally my original history major, it's not anymore, was on Middle Eastern history. So I've studied this a little bit. Story is very human fascinating. Yeah. And like there was definitely certain sects of Christianity that became more mainstream that really wanted to undercut any kind of narrative involving Lilith. Because at least for what I'm going to call Western Christianity, so Catholicism and what would become like Protestantism, Luther, like those ones, they tended to be a little bit more, and is a very soft way to put it. I'm going to be frank and blunt in a historical sense, and understand this is a historical sense, and I'm not trying to start a debate here. Christianity, for a lot in terms of traditional Western Christianity, was very men are better than women. It was very put men above women, and women were meant to be subservient. This is not a thing for debate. This is a fact. You have, early in the Western Christianity, there's women priests, there's women missionaries, there's women saints. Like, they exist. And especially in early Christianity, there's a not unsubstantial number of them. In terms of what a woman's role in with the church. And as particularly Catholicism, which is kind of what came to be the predominant powerhouse of Western Christianity at the time, wanted to undercut that, stories involving like Lilith are intentionally used less and less, or stories involving, there was an entire book that was left out, I believe, in the Council of Nicaea, that was written by who was considered a female apostle in early Christianity. And that's the thing is like, it's always important to acknowledge that people have beliefs, but history is a lot more diverse and broad than I think people realize. And it's not arguing whether or not one is right or wrong. It is simply stating this is what historically happened. Because for every group that believed one thing, there was probably a group that believed another. And what we view as the standard today wasn't inherently the standard from the get-go. People had to shape it that way. And there's so many people who can get up in arms and they're like, that's not what it is. And it goes both ways. I've had people who are themselves Christian and are like, well, that's not what my Christian religion says. And I've had people who are vehemently anti-Christian who are like, you're softening Christianity too much. You're standing up for it too much by saying these things. And it's like, I'm not trying to dissuade, I'm not trying to defend or attack Christianity here. I'm just sharing what historically happened. This isn't something that's up for debate. This is like you read the historical text and the evidence. This is what happened. You know, and I think just some people get so like, it's just, history, you can't change history just because you read a different book. Yes, there's multiple perspectives to consider and read, but just because one perspective says that it absolutely didn't happen doesn't mean that it didn't happen. Anyway, especially when it comes to, like, especially when you're historically talking about politics and religion, it gets messy. Because those are absolutely times where they're trying to erase what different groups say. I was going to go back and level up. That was the whole point for resting at the bonfire. But I didn't, so we're just going to continue on to the next bonfire now. Doug, I'm talking about history, and that's a passion of mine. And again, I studied Middle Eastern history. That was like with the first year of my history degree was heavily. I got some really awesome studying of Middle Eastern history because I was going to major in that a little bit. For those who are curious, why it changed, I got an opportunity to shift into a little bit better university I'm going to right now. I'm not going to say what university I'm going to. I don't want that to be public knowledge, just the privacy sake thing. Yeah, I have a right to privacy. But my current degree is focused on more museum restoration, that kind of stuff. I'm going into like a little bit more. I want to work as like more of a museum curator. That's kind of what I'm hoping to get into with my degree, or an educator. And so I shifted from Middle Eastern as a major to. I always forget the technical term for it, but I believe it's referred to as museum sciences. They word it odd in a way that my brain just can never remember. Basically, I have a bachelor's in histories with an emphasis on, I think it's museum sciences, is what the technical term for the degree is. Could absolutely be mispronouncing that wrong, and I'll look it up someday. If I was a Pokemon gym leader, what type would I be? The type that gets stabbed in the back because I auto-target locked on an enemy that was feet below me. No, in all seriousness, like, is this something... Okay. Real question, to kind of question your question here. If we're talking Pokemon gym leader, are we talking what type I would think I would be, if because of my personality, or what type I would choose to be? Because those are not the same thing. What type I would choose. If I got to choose what type of gym leader I would be, 100% bug. It's probably the same answer for you there, Moth, but 100% bug. My favorite Pokemon, with the exception of Eevee, are almost all bug type. If it were to be what is assigned to me, if it was like what my aura said, I would probably end up as either rock, water, or normal type. No, actually, I'd be ghost type. I might even pick ghost type. No, if it were to be assigned to me, it would be ghost type. I know I don't have the vibe of the goth like person, but no, I would absolutely probably end up vibing as a steampunky ghost type gym leader with ghosts based off of historical crap. Absolutely, full stop would be if I didn't get to choose. I might even choose that, to be honest. But all my favorite Pokemon that immediately come to mind, I guess there are some ghost types I'm really fond of, but they would be bug. I forget ghost type doesn't exist. I forget ghost type exists sometimes. Was getting ready for bed and left to mythology and came back to Pokemon gym leader type. So to be honest, we went from mythology, like you actually didn't miss anything. We just kind of 360'd from one to the other. There, Birdie. A night-themed ghost gym lead. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what ones I'd have. It wouldn't be like, if I was a ghost type, we're not talking like I'm gonna be sitting there out with Haunter and Ghastly. I don't know what ghost types it would be, but it would have to be like maybe like a Mimikyu, because I like Mimikyu. But it would probably be ghost types that are just kind of like antique-y, historical, vibey kind of things. Ghost bug type. Well, I'd be totally down for ghost bug type. The Problem is, there's only one ghost bug type Pokemon though that comes to mind immediately, and I'm gonna be honest, they're cute, but they're not my favorite. Right. We gotta head to bed now. Have a good night. All good to chat with you again. Oh, it's good to chat with all of you again too. It's good. Well, it is good to chat with all of you again, but it's good to chat with you specifically, Birdie, while you were going to bed. I hope you get all of the rest that you need to get feeling amazing. You deserve it. I hope your hand starts feeling better. And it's always a delight to see you around. Now I'm gonna have to like sit down and do like research and design my gym. Oh, I'm gonna have to do that now, aren't I? I get 5 seconds. I'll design my Pokemon gym. It'll happen. Now by the banks at the hanky panky where the hollows fall off of all the safety things. Anyway. Rugius and Cincy absolutely would use Cincy. Absolutely, no questions asked. I know which one that one is. I'm probably mispronouncing the name. That one doesn't immediately come to mind, though. The first one doesn't. Can I get like a brief description of it? Like, even just like a vague color scheme, what it looks like type deal. Not the Pokedex entries, because those never help me, but they are fun to read. I think the gyroscope in my Steam controller is going out, by the way. So if you ever see it doing something a little bit wonky, it's got this thing like where if you like flick it, it moves that direction, but every once in a while it just like kind of goes off on its own. I'm just like sitting here walking in a straight line, and suddenly it's like, I'm like, what are you doing, controller? Like right there, it just did it. It's like a little growl at me. Little growl at me. Oh, that's why. It's not going out. It's just so sensitive that my finger being close to it sets it off. Like I don't have. It's just like the electro haptic things, whatever. It's unique to the UK region. Unfortunately, that does not help me. I'm not sure what the UK region is. This is where I'm gonna seem like a fake Pokemon fan. I promise I really like Pokemon. I just have a very bad. Pokemon is one of those things that I absolutely love, but it's never fallen into obsessed hyperfixation to the point that I retain enough. Like certain things absolutely call to me and click, but I don't fully retain other things. Shoot the arrows. Galar, okay. The Evil of Glaring. Okay, I know who Yamask is. And I don't know if I've seen. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do it dumb because it's gonna bother me until I know what it is. Rune. I have looked up way too much stuff about Gudetama today. Rune Regius. Moth beat Google. This is why Moth is a legend. We should all support. Oh, absolutely. I would use this, friend. This is friend shaped. absolutely would use 10 out of 10 would use it friend shaped. It's like I have not seen them before, but for those of you who can't see it on my phone right now because it's plugged in and charging, otherwise I'd hold it up to the screen like I do. Oh, the shiny is well. Oh, this just makes it even more sold on it. It's like pieces of a rock wall with like some really cool looking runic art on it, kind of held together loosely by shadow. And that doesn't do it justice as a description, but I feel like it's probably the closest way to describe how just cool this thing is. I have an axe, so you are screwed. I kind of want to just kick the shield. Let's do a shield kick. I haven't done a shield kick. And the shiny's purple, which I don't know if gym leaders are allowed to have like a shiny Pokemon. I don't recall any gym leaders ever having a shiny version of a Pokemon, but I'd 100% have a shiny version of a Pokemon if I could. Shiny Pokemon is good, especially when shiny is purple. My demon all shiny because I'd be a shiny hunter. Yeah. Just tried to push X to. No, I literally just accidentally pushed it.
Well, now, you seem to have your. Then I try.
Yeah. Do I want? When I should buy that. I didn't get the master key, so I should buy that. I should buy that. But I can't afford the repair box. Can I compare this to my current weapon without buying it? I can't. I really think I'm not going to get better than my current. For what I'm going for, none of these scream better bonk than what I got, having used almost every weapon in this store before. Like, unless I want to go for bonk, if I'm going to be entirely honest, I'm not a big fan of the club or the reinforced club, or even like the Morning Star if it's in here. I feel like my shield does a pretty good job, but I also don't know if I've actually been hit while I'm blocking.
Thank you, kindly.
This kid in the Pokemon show of Galar who wants to complete the Pokédex with exclusively shiny Pokemon. Okay, so it's not unheard of. I haven't seen the Pokemon. I think it was Pokemon Journeys. Is the Galar region? I haven't watched all of it yet. I watched all of the Sun and Moon storyline of the anime, partially because my daughter got absolutely hooked on it. My older daughter. Pardon the shiny Psyduck. Oh, the purple is so good. Sorry, Notice Moth sent me a picture of the shiny version. But I like it. I like. Is his name? His name's Go. This is Ash's like little travel buddy during it. And I just. It's so on the nose of having kind of come out post Pokemon Go that I've always been a little bit like about it, but oh, it's fine. Do I farm some souls and then? Well, I could also just check what I have in like terms of crystallized souls. Oh, I know he's not the shiny hunter. I'm just referring to the name choice being a choice that feels maybe done more for marketing than anything else. Because if you're like, oh, I want to look up Pokemon Go to see a little bit more about him as a character, you know what you're gonna find. Well, you know, no shame on them. You call that clever marketing. But yeah, it's always felt very known. It is named out, yeah. It's just one of those things where, like, I don't know enough about Japanese culture to say whether or not that is a common name. And it is not one that I have heard before. So assuming that it is an entirely proper name in Japanese, which I'm going to assume they would do something like that, fair play. Absolutely fair play. It does
Thank you.
feel a little
Very
shoehorned to me,
Come back
which
soon.
makes me roll my eyes a little bit, but I don't like hate it. It's not like a reason I'm going to not watch the show. It's just one of those things. Just like, did you have to? I'm like, I like puns as much as the next guy, but. Go is the number 5. I mean, there's Go in the Hunter x Hunter. I'm assuming I've not watched it, but I'm going to assume that's the abbreviation for Hunter x Hunter. And like, it is a name, like Vincent van Gogh. His name's not necessarily pronounced Go. People will say Vincent van Gogh, but it's more like Gogh. I can't say his name correctly. As I say, someone who took German for 3 years, but it's Dutch, not German. Just related languages. But yeah, I just have. I mean, like, it's the same critique that I would apply to a show that's like, here, this is the new hip show of about this man who hunts vampires. What's his name? Hunter. Like, and his actual name was Hunter. Like, yes, that's a name, but it's also very specifically the most on-the-nose name you could have picked. I don't know, they have Red Nate Note of the Red version, at least in the manga series, Pokemon Adventures, and each iconic character is on the respective game colors. I suppose that's true, and they named Red Red. And I would actually apply the same critique there. But, like, it's not been... Like, at least in Gen 4, her name's Dawn. Like, I feel like the names haven't been as blatantly on the nose for an English language audience. For a while, at least. One could say. Scarlet Violet DLC will be called Pokemon Chartreuse, and I really hope it is. I could be down for Pokemon Chartreuse. Okay, let's go rest of this bonfire. Do we have any souls? I didn't kindle the other one. I've been like so interested in conversation, I haven't done any of the things I normally do. I should clarify. It's not a turn-off to the show. It's just something that, like, it doesn't... If I sat down and watched the show, like, sat down and genuinely put in the effort to watch the show, which I fully intend to do at some point, it would probably instantly go away, because I'd become familiarized with the name. But it's just not a name that I've heard a lot, so it's very obvious to me when I'm watching the show, when I've watched an episode or two, that I'm just like, huh, it just, what's the word for it? It's not when it's bad, it's just, there's a specific word for it. It's the word, when something pulls you out of the fantasy. Whatever the word is for that. It breaks immersion for me. And it's not a critique. If I watch the show, I'd probably get over it. But it just breaks immersion for me. It just like, I'm like, what was that? It's my 2 seconds. 2 cents there. Let's actually look at my, I can't afford to level up yet. Oh, this one's gonna be too hard to round out. Okay. go. Hydrate. That I can do. Ah. Big old hydrate there. Okay. Well, we're human again. We are human again. I'm gonna go rest at the bonfire. This has been an embarrassing turnout. Not like that's like just I should have done better in that little fight there. We're gonna have ourselves a little bit of a do-over. Okay. You don't have to do a full do-over for the one hit, but. Stick up these guys. Yeah, because I knew it. Like, you guys love to ambush behind me and I forget to take care of you. Hello. Oh, we got another raid! Goliathy, I'm going to assume. With a party of 3. Hello, raiders! Hello! Cal Crew raid. And first time chatters, you're a new friend! I always love new friends. How are you doing? Can we get a shout out for Cal here? Am I okay to call you Cal? You say Cal Crew. So I'm assuming that's... Unless I'm mispronouncing it, always feel free to correct me. How are you doing? They were just playing SantaCraft. I've not heard of SantaCraft before. Catherine 213. Since you're a first-time chatter as well, looks like you were brought with the Raiders. You were here with... I was in here with the Dapper Raid, and Catherine told me you're part of Luna, so I raided too. I'm assuming that you're a Catherine I know from Luna, because I recognize your name. I am part of Luna. I think I actually have a command for it. Boop 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 ba-doop boop ba-doo. For those of you who aren't familiar with what that means, Luna is T-Phase Discord. There's my list sticking in. Yeah! Yeah, Luna Discord, which I just the little command there for. It's a really great place. I'm not as active there as I used to be in the past. I kind of come and go. I'm just getting in streaming. This is my first stream, I think, in a while. But yeah. Yeah, I used to stream a lot. Life got crazy. And then... boom. Here we are. I think life has calmed down again, so... I'm going to be trying to stream full time again, so you came at a really good time. It's a free, I think, cozy game where you build a Christmas town. Very little thinking, but chill. I like a good chill game, and thank you for the follow. I always like making new friends. Yeah. A lot of you, if you are familiar with me, seeing part of Luna, I am Bruce in Luna. Is what most people will know me as over there. Thanks to Tifa. I actually can't remember what started the Bruce thing anymore, but that is what most people know me in as Luna, in Luna, and the circles thereabout. I know Tifa started it, and I think it was when we were streaming Stardew Valley together. And thank you for the follow, Catherine, as well. Followed. It's okay. I don't think you've caught one of my streams before. I know I've seen you around the Discord, so I'm always happy when I see a friend from the Discord. Your other account is followed. Oh, okay. I'll probably have to give Cal a good follow back, because I haven't caught one of your streams before. But you already seem pleasant, so definitely have to make sure to return the favor. Tifa is a beautiful weirdo like that. Yeah. There's a reason we all love Tifa. I appreciate the raid. Makes sense as to how you got here. I was curious because it was like one of those things where it's like, oh, this is a new raider. I don't get a lot of new raiders. Every once in a while I do, but I was like, I wonder if they were playing Dark Souls. I mean, I saw SantaCraft, and I'm like, there was this momentary second or two there where I was like, where did they come from? This is fascinating. Oh, and if there are any new raiders that either come along with Tifa the Dapper Raid or Calliope? Yeah, Calliope. Like having more people to raid, yeah. I am a variety streamer. I play a little bit of everything under the sun, just as a quick heads up. Some people would describe me as a Dark Souls streamer, though, because I love Souls games, and I play quite a bit of Dark Souls. This is a new character, but this will be a full playthrough of Dark Souls 1 and all DLC, which I plan to carry through into Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3. Just kind of play through those cleanly. And I will be having a separate Elden Ring playthrough going on as well. Just like a little heads up as to what to expect with me. But I do play a little bit of everything. I know I'm planning to play a lot more Dinkum. I'm planning on... I don't know. I like survival crafting games too, so like Dinkum and Hydroneer and Minecraft are all on the table. I play strategy games every once in a while. I play a little bit of everything. But I think most people know me from Dark Souls. Anyway. Yeah, and I always like having more people to raid too. I tend to stream till like 2, 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like this stream will probably go for about another hour and a half, 2 hours. So by that time, it can be kind of hard to find people to raid. So I always like having people that I can follow and raid back on the off chance that they're still going that late. So those games aren't really for me, though I really enjoy watching others copiously. Oh. Ooh! This might be the end, because I've walked down the ledge, but I can't seem to... Okay, we're good. That's always fair. I can't promise that I'll die a lot for you. I've played a fair bit of Dark Souls 1, and I'd like to think I'm pretty good at it, so I don't die a lot. But, like, I don't think I've had a death on this stream yet. It's gonna be coming. Like, it's gonna inevitably, I'm gonna die. It's a Dark Souls game. You don't not die. Ooh, little lag spike here. We're gonna need to do some optimizing for the next stream. I'm trying to get Dark Souls and stream avatars to play nice, because I really like having stream avatars, but thanks to Tifa and Dapper, and I do genuinely appreciate it, I got a lot of little stream avatars going on, and Dark Souls isn't fully appreciating it. Just patience to yourself. I would not call me a skillful playthrough, though. That's giving me too much credit. I'm just here for the vibe. I just enjoy the games, and so we just play. Get some gold pine resin, stuff like that. I think someone once put it. The highest compliment that I ever got, and I don't think I live up to this compliment, but someone told me this once, and it has stuck with me ever since, and it is the goal. This is my ideal Dark Souls stream, is they referred to me as Bob Rossing a Dark Souls stream. And that is my goal. Like, I'm not trying to be the best at playing, but I want to keep the vibes chill. I'm not here to rage. I'm not here to get frustrated. I will from time to time. I absolutely know that I will, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to enjoy the game, enjoy the vibe, the ups and the downs, all that jazz. But yeah, that was the highest compliment I ever got, was someone saying that I was Bob Rossing a Dark Souls playthrough. And I was just like, that's the goal. If I can live up to that every time, I'm happy. Hi, friend. You gonna... Boop. No, I haven't even tried it. Is this shield parryable? I can parry with this thing. I think I can parry with any shield if I remember correctly. What is... I should actually, like, look at the stats on things rather than just vibing. 82 physical defense, 73 magic. I mean, it's not a bad shield. Here we go. Oh, that... No, there we go. I was looking at the wrong thing. It's offense. Okay, damage reduction percentage is what I wanted. It's been a little bit. 100% physical. So okay, yeah, that's my goal. I like a shield that has 100% physical damage reduction. How's my axe doing? C and D scaling. It's got better. We're going for a bonky strength build here. Build with maximum bonk, and I don't think the battle axe is the best for maximum bonk. But does do good damage, so we're gonna keep it for now. And I'm gonna avoid swapping it to like a halberd or something, because I know that that always tempts me. I love me something like a halberd that I can one hand. We're gonna try to keep it more bulky, bonky weapons. Is the goal as per requested for this playthrough. Trying to figure out, do I feel this very well could be my first death in here. I do love fighting me Dark Knights, but they are challenging. I'm definitely not as experienced as I used to be. Let's get you into a good area to fight. Come on, friend. I'm not gonna fight you in a narrow area. I want an area where we can do some rolling, do a little bit of a dance. Let's get up here where we have a little bit of an opening. Okay. Can I parry them? That's what I'm trying to remember. Not like that, I can't. Let's get him to swing. You can drink this. Last second block there. Very lucky. I feel like I can parry you. I'm just trying to remember how. I can't parry a shield bash though. That was unintentional. What I didn't clock what he was doing. I knew what was happening, but it was too late. Oh, ooh boy. Okay. Yeah, this is probably gonna be the first death. Got a good opening to get Nestus. Forgot about his shield strike. It's a bit of a pain to deal with. Not impossible, but... Nessus gonna get... Oh, not fast enough. Okay. Oh, and I forgot he had a... I forgot about the bat in there. That's okay. He's got 4 strings. Hey, Gray, are you still lurking around? Can you remember? I couldn't remember. Can I parry them? I was a little bit gun-shy on going full into committing on the parry, because I have just ever so slightly lag from stream app. Actually, that's a good point. One moment, y'all. Stream avatars is getting angry because of the amount of little friends I have here. I'm going to try to do a little reset of it just to see if I can... Not to shake any lurkers off. I appreciate lurkers being here, but just to kind of re-narrow things. Black Knights. I can't remember if they're parryable or not. Yes, okay. So I didn't go gung ho onto it. So I'm just doing a quick little reset of stream avatars just to see if that helps with my lag. Ooh, we got someone rocking Solaris armor there. And alas, that's the last of my Diet Coke. You see, the thing is if I'm running to where I normally like to be, did this not help at all? Oh, that's just as many as them. Oh, that's fine. Did that help though? That's the question. Oh, it did help though. It's back 7. See, I like parrying though. That's something that I do. Maybe not. Okay. I'm gonna play around with Stream Avatar settings a little bit. Just bear with me. I hate doing this mid-stream, and I don't even know if it's noticeable to you. If it is, you've probably been seeing exactly what I'm talking about. I have just ever so slightly a bit of a stutter happening in Dark Souls, and I think it's so you can jump down from and land where the ring is. So you did get it. Absolutely. I can also just run past him, lure him up, and then like get it that way. But no, I like to kill him. Because his sword can be actually a pretty good blackened sword. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'd be using it for this, but okay. Okay. I am making a slight adjustment here. Just on Stream Avatars, just to help with system performance while I'm running this. We'll try it. This shouldn't be a permanent change, but basically, I'm switching it from followers in chat to active chatters. All right, so name your chief points in multiplayer. Let me know. What are you naming your character? I named the character Tadafid, just standard what it's going to. And I might take you up on that. It's going to definitely be... I was planning on more solo playing this character. But, you know, we'll see what bosses do. So I've switched it over. It's now active chatters, so those who have said something in the chat, hence why I'm getting my bots to do the little test spiel, should be the ones to show up on the chat right now. Hopefully that just helps a little bit with lag control. Oh, why aren't you going back to full screen? Dark Souls. Oh, did I break it? I might have just broken Dark Souls trying to fix it. Oh, my controller died too. So that probably means Steam has gone down. Wow. I like broke everything magically. I have a gift, y'all. Only I can break things. I'm trying to fix this quickly. Am I still live? Can y'all see me? Yes. Stream Avatars is frozen as well, right? I'm still kicking. Well, good. This means that I've at least increased the stability of my gaming rig to now when I break it. OBS is still going strong. 1 second. We're going to try to get turn Task Manager up to do some force killing of things so we can get them launched back up a little bit quicker. Oh, sorry if you hear me popping my fingers there. Just a little bit stiff. That helps. Frame rate assistant for online play. Returning to main menu. Okay, well, we might not have to, but I am going to relaunch Dark Souls just because I do want it to be... Yeah, I'm closing both of these. I do want to be in online mode, so we'll have it back up and running here shortly. Oh, no. The Steam controller is the kicker, because this is connected, so we're going to do a little bit of playful force restarting of it. Nope. Yeah. I think I just broke. I crashed Steam. Basically, is what happened. Like the back burner. Yeah, I can't even open. I'm gonna have to force kill Steam. I've not done that before. That's a new one for me. Like I broke Steam services running in the background. Excuse me. Which is what controls. Not inherently the software, but like that's the only thing that makes sense as far as to why my Steam controller suddenly went down and why a couple other things did. Why is that running? Let's kill that. One moment. I have other... I've been playing a little bit of Minecraft modding in my free time. Modded Minecraft. And I've been using FTB, but FTB requires Overwolf currently, or at least the version that I am doing. And Overwolf loves to stay open when I think it's not. And when it does that, it like really is CPU intensive sometimes. Okay. Force killed Steam. Relaunching Steam. We'll get everything going as soon as we can. How y'all doing while we're here taking a little bit of a break? Oh, I'm gonna go follow back Calliope. Don't know if she's still here. Doing good. Doing fair to middle. That's something. That's better than nothing. Calliope. Did I spell her name right? Calliope. Might have been pronouncing her name. She didn't. I'm actually assuming pronouns there. I should have asked. She, her. Okay, I assumed correctly. I hate assuming, which is why I double checked, but she, her. She's got it listed. As someone who's not caught her stream before, as she was just my first time, I will say, here's another little shout out to her. Stream looks wholesome. Good chat rules. Anyway. Let's try to return the favor. Steam. Why ain't you cooperating, Steam? Did I break you that bad? Don't make me have to reset my computer, Steam. Don't do that to me. OBS is still working. OBS never still works. You can't let OBS still work. You know what I'm saying? I was doing pretty good. Now I'm a little bit mad at. Now I'm a little bit mad at Steam. We had a good thing going, Steam. Why'd you ruin it? How do I have 7 viewers? I have technical support going on right now. I will have you know, I don't usually look at my viewers, but I just like glanced over and it's like, you have 7 viewers now. I have somehow gained 2 viewers, and y'all just staring at my little pixel dragon with the blinking stars. Like, I guess that's interesting. While I sit here and get perpetually more perplexed by why Steam no start. What you doing, computer? Don't make me switch to something that's not Dark Souls. I'm just enjoying that. I've never had Steam break like this before. This is super, super odd. Basically, it goes to launch. It does this whole updating thing, like everything's going to go just fine, like it's starting up normal, and then it just stops. It disappears. It disappears from my. I'm gonna call it the event tray, my little arrow thing that shows me running software, and it just doesn't do anything. Fascinating. I can't even interact with it either. I can't interact with this. So this is working. Why isn't this? Oh, I know I might be able to cheat this. There's a way I might be able to cheat this, which is what I'm trying to do. We're gonna see if it works. And it's called I have shortcuts to the games themselves. But no, Steam is failing to load. This is so odd. Huh. You trying to tell me like I need to go to bed or something like that? What you doing, computer? Never had to do this before. I've ran into a lot of issues, but never this issue. Hmm? Hmm? Does that mean it's doing something? Okay. That's interesting. I'm using Task Manager to monitor what programs are going on, and Steam Error Reporter just popped up and was like, for just a second, but then nothing happened. So I think Steam has somehow bricked itself in the process of me adjusting a couple settings on stream avatars. Oh, here we go. Here we go. That's new. We might be making progress. We had a login screen pop up for half a second. Oh, and that icon's lurking around there. We've made very slow progress, but progress nonetheless. Y'all want to see my shelves? I'm going to show y'all my shelves while we're waiting. Oop. Yay, camera's been freed. Hello. Anyway, you can see my house and desk and everything. Anyway, my shelves. We got a Lego blacksmith. Let's get the light on. Lego blacksmith. Nutcracker for Christmas. We got an old. I don't know if you can see the green thing next to the Nutcracker. It's not the best camera angle. I'm short in the taller shelves. It's a antique, vintage bank, basically. Back in the day when, you could get like food for genuine coins. You'd have little categories, and there's a way to slide your coins in there, and they're little separate banks. Terry Pratchett books, second Nutcracker. More Terry Pratchett books. Picture of my kid in a little fake typewriter. We got some old Transformer glasses things. A picture frame with something pink in it. We got my Dark Souls statue who's wearing a pirate hat. That little blue basket holds the DS stuff. We got a fan for when we need it. We got my basket full of wires and crap that if I need it. And we got a plant friend. Anyway. That was supposed to buy time while I try to figure out what's going on. And I still haven't fixed it because everything broke again. We were having progress, and then it was like, nope, denied. I'm amazed at how well my camera just kind of slid back into place there. I'm going to be honest, if I have to restart my whole computer, I'm probably going to just wrap up the stream, which is why I'm being a little bit, I'm going to use the word stubborn here. I'm being a little bit stubborn because I don't want to, because if I go to restart my computer, it kind of kills the stream. If that makes sense, I have to start an entirely new stream, and it breaks a lot of things. If I have to restart the computer, so I'm trying to avoid that. I'm gonna try one last thing. And yeah, I don't want this stream to be over. I was just getting good. Okay. Don't need that. Okay. Let's try this. Okay, that's a new. That is a progress sign. You might be getting somewhere. It's like officially now getting like one step further, but I think it's still breaking before it gets to where I need it to. Hmm. Let's try. Huh. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. If I restart my computer, usually it fixes odd things like this. But yeah, like Steam's just bricked itself. It's just shut down. And I cannot get it to launch. Can we do a cheeky bypass though? I'm gonna try to bypass it and then go from there. Mm-hmm. Oh. Actually, let's go with here. Okay. Stream avatars I can get to open bypassing. Oh, maybe. Maybe. I think it depends on both these programs rely on Steam for any backend services, which they very well might. Nope, nothing there. I'm gonna try. We might have lost stream avatars. I'm gonna try one last time to get Dark Souls, and if I can't get Dark Souls to open, I think I'm just gonna have to call it here for the night. And then restart my computer, and again, it's late enough and far enough into the stream, I probably won't be continuing to stream from here. Which I do apologize for, but that's kind of where things are sitting. I have a feeling, though, if anything wants to just be able to run of its own accord and independence, it's going to be Dark Souls, so. Nope, failed to initialize Steam. Yeah, so basically Steam just decided to kick the bucket on my computer for who knows what reason. Okay. There's one last thing I can do. It is very much... I've had this work before. I've had this fail before. We're going to try it. If it doesn't work, let me put it this way. If it doesn't work, the stream's going to end. If it does work, the stream will continue on, and we'll get to enjoy some Dark Souls. So on the off chance it doesn't work, I just want to thank everyone who's caught the stream so far. I want you to know that I love all of you. I hope you have an amazing night. And I hope to see all of you around. I will be streaming again tomorrow. It is going to be more Dark Souls because I'm just getting into the swing of things. Not feeling too adventurous right now. That will not be the case for this week. We'll be playing other games this week, but tomorrow is going to be Dark Souls again. But yeah. We'll see. Hopefully this isn't goodbye. But if it is, it's been a wonderful time having all of you here. And I love all of you. It's good to see you too, Gray.